Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. This is Clash of the Titans, a video series here on Guy Boston Sports, where I go through each and every ranked on ranked matchup during the college football season and give you guys some extra picks, some deeper analysis, and deeper insight into those big-time matchups in college football. In today's video, we're covering number 16 ranked Texas A&M, taking on number 8 ranked Notre Dame. And as always, guys, I've got some really great picks to go ahead and share with you. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. This is one of 3 Clash of the Titans videos that I am releasing this week. If you haven't seen the other 2, they are already out on the channel. We did a video for Georgia versus Tennessee and a video for USF versus Miami. Those are also the other ranked on ranked matchups this week. So if you haven't seen those videos, go ahead and check those out. And also, we have our full week 3 college football picks video out as well. So all of those college football picks videos, they are all out on the channel already. So make sure to go ahead and check those out. All right, guys. Now, when it comes to this game, this is a massive matchup considering how early in the season is. We're still only in week 3 of the college football season, and yet for Notre Dame in particular, this game means the world. A&M, it means a lot, but honestly, if they lose this game, they could go ahead and realistically bounce back. But for Notre Dame in particular, due to the fact that their schedule after this point really doesn't have any other ranked teams left, this is an important one for Notre Dame for sure. Now, I do want to go ahead and reiterate before we dive into the picks officially, I know I got the Notre Dame shirt on. I am a Notre Dame fan. If you guys have been watching my videos before, you know I'm a huge Fighting Irish supporter. That being said, I don't want people rushing to the comments or unsubscribing or all these things or turning the video off. I am not a biased fan. You guys want proof? Week 1, Clash of the Titans, I picked Miami over Notre Dame, okay? If I think that Notre Dame is not good enough to win a game or cover a spread, I'm honest about that, okay? So last year I picked NIU spread against Notre Dame. I didn't pick money line, but I did pick them spread. Like, I'm willing to bet against my team. Not personally, but I'm willing to give out picks against my team. So I want to put that point out there now before people rush to the comments. I am not biased. If I feel like Notre Dame is not good enough, I will pick the other team. That's just what I want to say right off the bat. Now, that being said, my first pick in today's video is Notre Dame minus 6.5 against the A&M Aggies. I'm grabbing it for minus 115 over on FanDuel. But like I said, this is a non-biased pick. I genuinely think Notre Dame will win this game and cover. Now, I don't think it's going to be a massive win for Notre Dame. I don't think they're going to win this game by 10 points like they did last year. Remember, last year they played at A&M to start the year off. Notre Dame won that one 23-13, a very dominating victory to start off the year for the Irish. I don't think you're going to see that same thing this year. This game, to me, very much screams 30-23, 31-24, something in that vicinity. I think it's going to be a higher scoring game than people think. And I also think that Notre Dame, they're going to be able to cover this number, but the key thing is getting it at 6.5. If you get it at 7, I think you're going to get a push. Anything above 7, I wouldn't even touch it. 6.5 is the key number here, or lower, of course. I think Notre Dame does win this game by a touchdown, but a single touchdown at that. Now, like I just mentioned, this game is massive for Notre Dame because after this point, unless something changes in the season, which it could, they have no other ranked games left on their schedule. Arkansas, they could possibly get in the top 25 by the time they play Notre Dame. Boise State's another team that was in the top 25. They fell out. Maybe they go up. But the fact is, Notre Dame, the playoff committee has made it very clear, especially this year, they're looking at the resumes. They want to see what games have you won and who have you beaten. Okay, that's very important. For Notre Dame, if you're 10-2, and by the way, they have to win out the rest of the way if they lose this game on top of everything else, which is a tall task. But Notre Dame, even if they go 10-2 and win out after this point, if both of your losses are to Miami and A&M, the committee's going to look at Notre Dame and say, well, who have you beaten? Who have you beaten? No ranked wins that are going to put you in the playoff? It's going to be really tough, especially as a 2-loss team. It's going to be really tough for Notre Dame. They have to win this game. If they win this one, it takes a lot of pressure off for the rest of the year. If they lose, not only do they have to win every single game left in their schedule, a 10-game winning streak to close out the year, but they will also need some luck from some other teams falling out, some other teams failing in order for them to get in the playoff. Is motivation a reason to take a bet? Sometimes no, sometimes yes. I do think Notre Dame in this spot, they know. This is a coaching staff that knows the situation. They know the circumstances. They know what they need to get done. Notre Dame also has a huge advantage here. A couple of huge advantages. First and foremost, they're at home. Nighttime game in South Bend, Indiana. That home field advantage is huge for them here. Number 2, they're coming off a bye week, all right? They had that tough Miami loss in week 1. They got a week to go ahead and review film, make adjustments, game plan for A&M, and now they get to come home and play an Aggies team that really hasn't been battle-tested yet this season. And I do think Notre Dame playing Miami in week 1 gives them an advantage. They played a really, really, really good team in week 1, so they already have been battle tested. Actually, if you look at here, the strength of schedule for Notre Dame, tied for the toughest schedule so far through 2 weeks. All right, that's pretty good. Obviously, A&M and Miami, 2 top 25 ranked teams back to back. Miami, of course, being a top 5 team now. Goes to show, Notre Dame said we're going to get challenged early on in the year. I do think that Miami game, it helps them figure out some stuff, and it helps them figure out what we need to improve upon against tougher competition. I think Notre Dame is going to be prepped and ready. They have the coaching staff advantage. I love Marcus Freeman as a head coach. I think they're going to be in a really good spot here. Extra rest, extra prep time. Notre Dame at home. You know, the defense didn't play their best. It wasn't terrible. They didn't play their best. But more importantly, the offensive line was a massive disappointment against Miami. One of the worst offensive line performances from Notre Dame in a long time. And I think they're going to go ahead and fix that because this offensive line was supposed to be, if not the best, one of the best offensive line groups in college football this year. I think it's just a matter of an underperformance. I think they got shell-shocked. Miami's defense obviously is very strong as well, so give credit to Miami there. But I think Notre Dame's offensive line, it can get worse. It's going to get better. They lost that game by 3, and a lot of things were against them. The offensive line played poorly. They didn't give Jeremiah Love a lot of touches. Why? I'm not entirely sure. It was CJ Carr's first start, so you had a really inexperienced quarterback taking the reins on the road in Miami week 1 in a tough environment. I think a lot of things went against Notre Dame in that game, and they still only lost that game by 3 points. To me, that's the encouraging thing. As an Irish fan or as someone who wants to take the Irish and bet on them this year, I think they are still a very strong football team. I think that actually losing to Miami only by 3 points, considering that they really didn't play all that well, give credit to Notre Dame. They kept the game pretty tight. So I do like Notre Dame here minus 6.5. I don't trust the Aggies defense, if I'm being totally honest here. Look at their defensive numbers on the right side of the screen here. They played so far Utah State and UTSA. Those are the 2 teams they played. And if you want to go ahead and look at strength of schedule and compare it to Notre Dame, Texas A&M tied for 99th in terms of strength of schedule. Strength of victory, they are tied 58th, a little bit higher. But this is basically a bottom ranked schedule. Okay, they really haven't played anybody tough. Notre Dame, on the other hand, like we said, they played Miami. Very good game. Good game and a good team. So A&M's defense, the fact that these numbers are so low, considering who they played, is a little alarming. They're tied for 79th in the scoring and tied for 79th in the nation, in scoring defense. 47th in passing yards allowed per game, 83rd in rushing yards allowed per game. This is a key point here. That 83rd in rushing yards, giving up 140 yards per game, that's massive because I do think Notre Dame in this game will get Jeremiah Love way more involved, and we'll talk about him in a few minutes. They do have a pretty solid pass rush. I'll give them that. But overall, I just think this defense, it's a good, not great defense. I think that the fact these numbers are as low as they are, considering who they played, that could be an advantage here for Notre Dame. And I know Notre Dame's offensive numbers don't look great, but remember, they only have 1 game of data to go off of, and it was that Miami game. And then A&M's offense, that's where I think their strength lies. Their offense has been pretty strong, specifically in the passing game. I do think, again, this will be a little bit more of a higher scoring game. The over is not a bad spot to go ahead and target. I know last year was a lower scoring, just total only hit 36 points. But I think this year you're going to see, I think Notre Dame's defense, I think it's still good, but again, they looked a little shaky in week 1. Also, I forgot to mention in week 1, they lost their offensive coordinator from last year. So Notre Dame also had a new offensive coordinator taking the reins in week 1. So a lot of things went against Notre Dame in that Miami game. Again, it's a reason why I picked Miami in that spot. But back to this game here, I think Notre Dame's defense is still good. I don't know if it's as good as it was a year ago. So I think there's going to be some points scored in this game. But I do think, again, at the end of the day, I think Notre Dame's offense will prevail. I think the defense can make just enough plays to go ahead and win this by touchdown. 30-23. 31-24, something in that vicinity, I think will win this game for the Irish. Also, by the way, the insight provided by Outlier. I apologize, I didn't realize that I had the wrong camera on there, but there's the numbers right here on the right side of the screen. You can see the offense numbers for A&M, the defensive numbers for A&M, again, 79th in scoring, 83rd in rushing, 47th in passing yards allowed. So that's there. Again, apologies for the camera not being switched correctly. And then we have this little insight provided by Outlier. Notre Dame, the Irish are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games at home. So pretty good run at home for Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. Pretty good run in general for the Irish. So I think they got a good spot in this one. All right, guys, on my second pick in today's video, we're going with the Irish team total over 27.5 points. Grabbing it from -120 over on FanDuel. Again, I think the general over, the total, is not a bad spot to go ahead and target the over, which I will go ahead and take a look at what that is. Right now, the line's at 50.5, so that's not bad. I don't mind targeting that because, again, I do think A&M will score some points. So I don't hate that line, but I do think that if that total is going to hit, Notre Dame is going to have to score at least 4 touchdowns. And so I think 28 points for Notre Dame, very gettable, especially when I think they're going to win. Again, I said it a few times now. I think they're going to score at least 30 points in this game. Over 27.5. You got some EV plus value there as well. They did cash this over at a 63% hit rate last year. But to be fair, towards the end of the year, they played Indiana, really good defense. Georgia, strong defense. Penn State, strong defense. Ohio State, strong defense. Like those last 4 games, which contribute to that total, they played some really good. This is all playoff games. This was the entire college football playoff run right there versus elite defenses. So, and I also do think, and that's no disrespect to Riley Leonard, who I thought was incredible last year. CJ Carr, you lose something with the running game. He's not going to be able to run the way that Riley Leonard did, but I do think his passing potential is far greater than Riley Leonard. I think that CJ Carr is going to be able to do some things with the passing game here at Notre Dame that Riley Leonard was not able to do. I do think their offensive potential is a little bit higher this season, if I'm being totally honest. So I think the team total over is a good spot. They averaged 36 points per game last season. I don't see why 28 points in this game. They scored 23 last year versus A&M. I think that A&M defense was slightly better. That was also Notre Dame's first game of the season last year. So, Riley Leonard's first start, there was a lot of things, again, similar to the Miami game, a lot of things that were going against Notre Dame in that one. They did pull through, though. Their defense was very strong last year. But I think Notre Dame scoring 28 points is not that crazy. Again, A&M so far this year, they're giving up an average of 23 points per game against UTSA and Utah State. If that's what they're doing, Notre Dame should be able to score 28 points here in this one. So for minus 122, the value is certainly there. We've got one pick left in today's video, but before we finish off with our player prop, I want to talk to you guys about the sponsor of today's video, Chalkboard. If you like player props and you haven't given Chalkboard a go yet, you are missing out absolutely. Right now, they have an incredible sign-up offer for new users. If you sign up today, they'll give you a free $20, no deposit necessary. Now, that's what I call a deal. You need to make sure to use code GUYBOSTON to go ahead and trigger that bonus, though. So make sure to go ahead and do that. Head over to the link down below in the description or the pinned comment. Download Chalkboard, sign up with code GUYBOSTON, and claim your free $20 today. I'll say that one more time in case you weren't paying attention. You need to make sure to use code GUYBOSTON to trigger that bonus. Head over to the link in the description and or the pinned comment. Download Chalkboard, use that code GUYBOSTON, and claim your free $20 today. No deposit necessary. Thank you very much to Chalkboard for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's finish up with our final pick in this game. And our final pick, guys, as I alluded to earlier, we're going with Jeremiah Love of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish over 79.5 rushing yards. We're grabbing this for minus 109 odds over on DraftKings. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know what week 1 was all about with Jeremiah Love. Especially with CJ Carr making his first start in a road environment like that with Miami's pass rush. I don't really know why they didn't give him more touches. You look at his rush attempts, he had 10 carries in the game, which isn't terrible, I guess, but, and you look at the rush share percentage down below. CJ Carr actually had more carries than he did in week 1. Jadarian Price also had a few carries there, but he just didn't get enough in the passing game, either passing or rushing. I just didn't see him get enough touches in that game for my liking. I think that'll change against A&M. Again, they had time during the bye week to look back at the Miami game script, figure out what went wrong, and make adjustments. One big adjustment I'm hoping they make here is giving the ball to Jeremiah Love way more. A&M's defense is not Miami's defense. Again, we'll look over the right side of the screen here. A&M giving up 140 rushing yards per game. That's 83rd in the nation. Their tackling grade, according to PFF, is only like 57.1, I think, which is honestly on the lower scale. So they've had some issues with tackling. Obviously very good when we're betting a running back rushing prop here. Last year, you had a 44% hit rate on this over. To be fair, though, again, you have those playoff games, which did not go his way. Those defenses were very tough. But you also had Riley Leonard taking a lot of carries away from him. They were very Riley Leonard run dependent last season. But I do believe Jeremiah Love is the best running back in college football right now. And to add to this, the last time that he played A&M, he did have 91 rushing yards in that game back in week 1 of last season. So he already had success last year taking on the Aggies. Look at that game. He had 14 carries. I'm assuming he'll get something in that vicinity again this season. And they look at the run percentage shares last year. You see, well, this is this year still, I guess. Last year in that game, he had a 41% run share in that one. So I think it'll be something in that vicinity again. And looking down below at opposing running backs against Texas A&M who had similar success, we don't have a lot here, but Robert Henry, the running back from UTSA, he did have 177 rushing yards against A&M when the line was only 38.5. So take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But I think it's a really good spot for Jeremiah Love. I think it's a bounce back spot. They're definitely going to utilize him way more in this game. I think A&M's defense is a little bit weaker than Miami's. And again, they've had some issues with tackling so far through 2 weeks. I think it's going to be bonus here for Jeremiah Love in this spot. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. If you made it to the end of this video, please go ahead and comment 15 down below. As always, we appreciate those who watch through each and every single video here on the channel. Make sure if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We'll be back next week with a bunch of more Clash of the Titans videos coming your way. Until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your college football Saturday. More importantly, let's go ahead and make some money.